Hello there. My name is Jake Rail, and I'm a life coach here at Steadfast Life Coaching. And I help men with their marriages primarily. I guess men and women. If I'm to be honest, we have a membership, and we just talk about marriage. I love marriage, and I love helping marriage. And I have felt and been told that there is a grace on my life to help people with marriages. So it's something I'm very passionate about, something I love doing, but also something that I feel shame about sometimes because I have been married twice, and you're only supposed to do it once. That's the way that God has it designed. This is supposed to be a one and done. And my marriage to Whit is amazing and wonderful, and it is my second marriage. And so sometimes I can hear the enemy accusing me of being unfit for the calling that is on my life because I failed at marriage. And I felt the same way all a long time. I felt that accusation was correct. I struggle with that. And what I want to share with you today is a bit of a testimony about wrong thinking that I had, a way that I saw the world and myself and God and the people around me, and how in sort of a painful yet loving way, God has broken me free from that thinking. I was a really do good to get good kind of a guy. Anyone who's known me growing up, I was always considered the good kid in every group of people I was ever with. The church kid. I grew up in church, like literally in church. Like my parents were super involved in the church, both in ministry as well as in music. And so I was at church physically all the time. If I went into the rectory of our Catholic church, the priests, all of the secretaries, all the admin of the church, they knew me, they welcomed me. I got big hugs. Hey, how's it going? I was very, very involved in this. And outside of the church, everyone kind of knew that about me. They knew I was a church kid, that I was a good kid. And so I carried that with me through life. I made really good decisions. I didn't drink. I didn't have sex until I was married. I kind of did all of the things, checked all of the boxes that you're looking to have checked to be a good kid. But there's an interesting side effect of that, and I don't know that it's unavoidable, but it snuck up on me. It wasn't my intention, but I became arrogant. I almost idolized goodness. I idolized being good over Jesus. And I think that one of the traps that you can fall into if you are the good kid is that you kind of believe that Jesus is just your buddy. And I'm not saying he's not your buddy. Jesus is 100% my buddy, but he's more than that, much more than that. He's also my Lord and my Savior, which is really important, because I think what ended up happening was that I kind of developed an arrogance, a pride, where I didn't see him as my Savior because I didn't really feel like I needed him, which sounds brutal to say right now. And I wouldn't have even said that then. It's just that deep down, I kind of felt like, yeah, he's there as like a plan B. I have him as a safety net. That's exactly the way I thought of it. He's a nice safety net, but for the time being, I'm handling things pretty well. And so I have been divorced. It all fell apart. I never intended to get divorced. I never would I have thought of myself as a guy who even had a threat of divorce. That's part of the arrogance, I think, that I was living in. It could never happen to me because I'm Jake, and Jake doesn't get divorced. So when I reflect on this, where I think there's a benefit, I'm not going to dive into the reasons I got divorced or anything like that. It's just that I am living and experiencing a second chance that many don't get. And this is my awareness. I was in a marriage and it failed, and I'm in a marriage right now and it's incredible. It's amazing. It's the most important thing in my life. It's my highest value. The reason I'm even right here right now doing this life coaching, I'm on this screen sharing this testimony, building this whole life the way I do, is because I love my marriage so much. It was on Whit's heart, and therefore I put it on my heart. to do this because I want to be with her. I want to be prioritizing this. I want to build the business around our marriage. I love my marriage. But here's what's wild. I'm not that different from one to the next. I still struggle. I still have these same issues with pride and arrogance. The way Proverbs says it, in love with my own opinion, guilty. It definitely happens to me. But the difference is I have learned to depend on Christ. I have the same skills pretty much in my marriage that I did in my marriage that failed. But I have a heavier reliance on Jesus. I have Jesus at the center of my marriage. The way that it showed up, and this is just something you can check in and see if this is showing up in your marriage, is that I often had thoughts like, I'm actually doing this right. I know the right way to do this. I know the right way to do marriage. I know the right way to solve this problem. I know the right way to parent. I know the right way to do these things. I'm going to pursue right. And I also have the capacity. I have the mindset. I can do right. And so I'm going to do this right. And if I would notice, oh, my wife or my daughter, they're not doing right, I would idolize right. I would say right was the way to go. And this is what I've learned. You can be right and not be wise. That was not helpful. There's no empathy in that. There's no love. There's no compassion for what's going on there. And so the argument, if I got caught into, well, it's right, so it must be right, but it's not wise. And what I've learned is that it's better to be wise than right. And man, I can look back and see so many times that I caused disconnection as a dad and a husband because I was so obsessed with right. I had truth, but I lacked compassion. And I wasn't rude or anything. It wasn't like that. I was never mean, ever. I was never rude. I was never even really condescending. However, I had a condescending thought. I had a condescending mindset that I was the hero, ultimately. Because it sounds good, be the hero, put on the cape, do good, save, swoop in, make things better. But if I'm the hero, then anyone around me needs to be saved. And I'm the one that can handle it. And that's where the secret underlying arrogance came in the way I was living. I just thought if she was struggling, I could just double down. I could just go harder. I could carry us both. And yeah, it didn't work. So after 15 years of marriage, I was served with divorce papers. And I was not even 10% of the way toward ready to throw in the towel when that happened. And it's just an example of how much I thought I could carry and how little I was aware of the other person's experience, how much I thought I could just put it on myself, and how wrong I was that I could do that. I can remember walking around afterwards with this shame of just feeling like such a failure. And I would see people when I'd be out grocery shopping or something, and I would see a couple and I would watch them and I'd be like, what do they have that I don't have? How are they doing this? And I couldn't do it. Notice how it's I took on the shame. I did this wrong. What do I need? What skills could I, bring in? I had this frustration that I was getting better, because as my marriage, after I got those divorce papers, I was like, I'm going to double down, triple down, quadruple down. I'm like in counseling and coaching. I'm doing everything I can. I'm like, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be better. Be. Do thoughts, right? I'm taking a do approach to this whole thing. And I would get so frustrated because once it was final and I was on my own, I'm solo, and I'm like, dang it, I did all that growth. I really became better. I became someone that, could now doubly carry the burden of an entire marriage. And I have no place to use it. And luckily, divorce comes with this little piece, or if you've got kids, where now I was saddled with the responsibility of parenting, teaming up with the person I was trying to heal from, in order to not only guide my daughter, but protect my daughter from any sort of bitterness or anger or frustration that I had towards her mom, because I know that's not helpful. And I was like, realizing the scope of the task that's in front of me. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do it. And I could almost feel God saying, finally, Jake, finally you get it. And man, it just makes so much sense as I look in like the Old Testament and I see the law revealed, and everyone thought that the law was a means to salvation, that the law was a way to get salvation, when in fact the law was only a mirror trying to let you know you can't do it. You can't do it alone. And I hear, so many people like kind of speaking poorly of Christianity, or having their own viewpoint of like why it's the flaw, the big flaw in Christianity. Why is it so important that you trust in Jesus? I'm good. There are plenty of good people who are not putting Christ at the center of their stuff, and they're good. And what I learned is not that good. Not that good. I was good. Let me tell you, I was good. I was a good husband. I could really do it. I could really be self-sacrificing. I could really be a servant. I could even lead when it was time to lead. And I could do all of these things, but I wasn't that good. Not as good as it takes is what I mean to be successful at this. It's bigger. It requires more. And that's where I started to learn that I wasn't good enough. I can remember a specific case where I was going to speak with my daughter and tell her that this divorce was happening and it was crushing me inside. I had tons of fear about what that was going to do to her and how she was going to be after, and how I was the one doing it, and I was the one that was supposed to keep her safe, but now I was the one that was going to be ruining her life. And not only was I going to walk into this room and say these things, but I was not going to blame. I was going to take responsibility for them. I was going to say it was a mutual decision. And even though, like I said, I was not even 10% of the way there, I was going to say it's 50-50. And to come into that room and do that, I just couldn't. I was like, I'm not strong enough. I can't do it. I can't look in her eyes and say these things. I felt like I was ruining her. I felt like the one thing that was my top priority, I had fallen short on. And it was then, that was finally the beginning of my journey to start. And I do not mean to tell you like, oh, that's the moment that I figured it out. Not one bit. But that is what broke me enough to realize that I'm not the hero, that he's the hero. That this is about Jesus, that I'm going to put him at the forefront. And I started taking my first step down that path, which was unfamiliar, and I was really bad at it. And I tried doing it. I aspired to do it, and I was terrible at it. And God gave me the greatest gift when he brought Whitney into my life, because, she aspires to the same. She wants Christ at the center of the marriage. And so, you have all these sayings about marriage, like, it's 100-100. And I would even say, if I was coaching any of you, I would say, I can't make you have a great marriage. I can only make you a great you. We're going to work on, coach on, practice using the techniques to make you a great you. But that technique begins with trusting Jesus. That's the thing. It's all on the other side of knowing that without him, I am powerless to be successful. And so then, do I pursue excellence? Yes, I sure do. I go after excellence. I want to be the most excellent husband I can be. I still want to be the best dad, the best husband. I want to grow my skills. I want to pursue greatness. I want to build up to be in the natural the best that I can. But my natural is nothing without his super. I want his super on my natural. And then I can have a supernatural marriage. And with the aspiration of marriage that I want to have, that's the only way that I can do it. And so I broke to the point where I started putting the right foundation under this growth journey. And it has made all the difference, because when Whit and I took off on this journey, it did not go smooth. I think we made it all the way to what we considered our honeymoon before Whit looked me in the eyes and said, why did you lie to me about the way this life was going to be? And maybe we should just call it now on our honeymoon. It was a rocky start to this thing, but I knew, I knew where to start. I knew that I could trust him. And so if I could look in my heart and I could say, not because of me, not because of what I'm doing, not because of my skills, but because of you, Jesus, I know that this marriage is going to be successful. I want you to refine me. I want you to teach me. I want you to show me how to make this marriage successful. Then I could show up without pressure. And that was the big difference, because being a hero, it comes with a lot of pressure, because you're like, I can take it all on my shoulders, except now it's all on my shoulders. And so when it goes wrong, I'm not enjoyable to be around. Whereas now I've got this supernatural ability. I show up in my marriage at a skill level that I don't actually possess because of him, because I know to trust him and I know how this works. I jack it up. I start messing things up. I get to where I'm like, listen, I'm being falsely accused. You're misunderstanding me. Let me explain myself. Let me defend my position. Let me show you that I am good. Instead, I'm like, no, I'm not that good. Oh, it is such a freeing realization to get rid of this idea that it's all dependent on me being good, because I'm not that good. And that's what I know in the deep, quiet moments when I'm by myself and I can just shift that trust to him. And I can say, you know what? I trust you. I know that you are going to take care of this because I believe, and I'm pushing this on to you, and I'm not going to take it back. And now I have the freedom to show up well. It's wild. It's like playing a sporting event. It's like playing a game without the pressure of winning or the fear of losing. When that stuff's gone, when you're in the middle, when you're present, you're just like, look, I give it to you, Jesus. I give it to you. And I'm going to let you handle this. I'm going to trust you with it. And all of a sudden, I start playing so much better, because when that pressure is gone, I show up really well in the present. I have a very good attitude and effort in the present, which is really the only place I have any authority or control, right? And so that's who I am now. Not that good. I want to keep on saying it. And I even, I think about the idea of like someone who's really good on their college intramural team, who's watching someone train for the Division I team. And they're like, why are you spending so much time training? You don't have to train. Really, all you need to do is play. Just play and you'll be good. You don't have to do all of that. And it's like, yeah, you're not that good. You may be undefeated on your intramural team, but when you step on the court with the Division I players, you're going to discover that you're not that good. And it's the same. If you're just focused on the law, if you're just like, these are the things, let me check these boxes of these things that the world says, let me have good communication, let me be a servant, let me participate around the house, let me not be arrogant or condescending to my wife, boom, 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 marriage law, right, as it comes in. But until you really try to step up to the level that Jesus is requiring, Division I, you're going to think you're good. Yeah, I'm pretty good. And I thought I was pretty good, but not that good. And so, man, that's what I want to share. I want to announce to the world, I finally realized I am not that good. I'm sorry that I thought I was that good for so long. And man, it is so freeing, and it fills your life, your marriage, your parenting with so much joy, with so much peace. You have access to so much love and kindness to show towards the people that you care about most. When you just begin the process, the very first and most important skill is surrender. Jesus, this is your marriage and I can't do it without you. And I trust you that you are good and that you love me and that you have my back and that this is going to work because you are good, not because I am good. And once I start with that foundation, now I get to pursue excellence in every area that I can, to be the best husband I possibly can, to love Whit the best that I possibly can. I really do want to be the greatest husband. It's just that now I'm standing on the rock and not the sandy land. Now I get it. Now the storm is not going to wash away my footing. And And I really finally understand what it is to have a Christ-centered marriage. And I'm excited to offer that to you if you're looking for that as well. And so let me just wrap this up by saying, Jesus, thank you. Thank you for being patient with me. Thanks for not writing me off in my arrogance and pride. And I just extend that. I release that out to anyone else who's watching this. And you know, I understand how arrogance and pride works. You're probably not self-identifying as you watch this video. But tonight, when you're laying your head on your pillow and you realize, oh man, I actually really do think that I am good enough to do this on my own. I just release this over you, this just peaceful, wonderful feeling of knowing that you don't have to be that good, that your main responsibility is simply to surrender and to trust. And yeah, Jesus, I thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the marriage. I'm so grateful for this marriage. Thanks for the second chance that we're not supposed to get. Thanks for Maverick and for Whit and for Paige and just this awesome life that I'm living. And I just pray for anyone who sees this that opportunity is released into your life as well. Thanks for watching.